Okay, Jocks and Jills, episode 10. What's going on, guys? We're finally back in the same room.
Hey,
Tessa
hey.
and Julia here with you. We are so pumped. It was kind of the longest week ever. No PWHL games.
I mean, that did, but I was very well distracted. I feel like everybody, Julia, myself included, is kind of, worried about you. We were worried about you. Clearly, you're better now because you're back in my house. I didn't even ask. You just were like, we're coming over. I was like, cool, let's do it. Like, are you healthy? Are you back? Are you Julia?
I don't know if I'm full Julia yet. I'll be honest. I'm definitely well enough to be like moving around on a day-to-day basis. I won't infect anyone by being near them.
That's fair. Thank goodness.
This
You're
sounds
here.
so lame, but I just don't feel like sparkly right now. Like I wake up tired in the morning. You know, after you're sick, I need to wake up and start feeling a pep in my step. But soon that will happen. And honestly, I think with games back in the Pdub tonight, I will be sparkly again.
Breathe life back in you, huh?
How are you? You feel like you have new life?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, Ed and I brought the kids to Cayman Islands.
You have a chill vibe about you right now.
Thank you. It is chilly. So yeah, I am chilled. He has a really good friend from high school that lives down there, Melanie Gillians, and her husband, Chris, and their son, Wes. And so we basically just kiboshed their week. We're like, coming to town, let's hang. And it was awesome. We got to see Wes play soccer. The weather was amazing, even though it's their winter right now. Kids loved it, loved the ocean. Annie was exactly as we expected Annie to be. She was getting kisses from, the dolphin kiss. They wouldn't let the dolphin kiss her because obviously it's a 300-pound animal and she is like maybe 25 pounds.
Right.
So she went on my back as a piggyback, got a kiss from the dolphin, which she was so happy about. She saw them eat fish. They waved goodbye to her. She was just in heaven.
Aww.
And then we went swimming with the stingrays and she was all about it, was petting them, getting high fives from them. She didn't want to kiss them because they felt too goopy.
That's fair.
Theo took a little while for him to warm up to the stingrays, but he inevitably touched them.
Yeah.
And that was it. He was good. And then it was time to go snorkeling and Annie's like, I'm coming. And we're like, no, you could just stay on the boat. And she's like, no, I want to come with you. I was like, all right, put a mask on. So she threw a mask on and basically rode me like Seabiscuit while I was swimming in the reef in the water. And she would dunk her face in to have a little peek. Theo watched us from the boat up top just to make sure everyone was safe and okay. And then we went and saw sharks get fed.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, this is going to be so awesome when we see sharks get fed. And like, I probably should have thought about it more. Like in my head, this is what I had in my head. You know how you see those shows where like people go in cages and then they just drop meat in and the shark goes all crazy and eats it?
Yeah.
Like, why did I think we were going to go to like a turtle emporium and see that happen? I don't know. They were nurse sharks. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about sharks, but quite possibly the most boring, not scary sharks ever. They like suck the fish in. So there's like, you don't even see.
There's no blood or gore.
There's nothing. And I was just like,
I thought this story was going to go in a completely different direction. No. I thought it was going to be way too violent and the kids were disturbed, but it wasn't nearly violent enough.
And he's like, Mom, come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. And they had like a little play structure. She's like, I got to get out of here. And I'm like, I get it. I'm sorry. This is disappointing. This is horrible. And so we did that. Then we went and saw the turtles. Man, these turtles had to have been like at least 150 years old.
Turtles are crazy.
Dude, they were huge. They were bigger than this chair. Like I could probably grab it like this. And there was like 50 of them.
Annie could have ridden one for sure.
She would have. There was little baby ones that she pet.
Aww.
She wanted to like pick them up, but she wasn't allowed. The starfish thing was really hard for her to grasp because you have to keep them underwater. Otherwise they can't breathe, right?
Yeah.
And she just wanted to take them. So there was like the mama one, the baby one. They're all different sizes. There was a really small one. She was just like, I'm leaving with this one. And I was like, no, you're not.
It's very much alive.
Yeah. Theo touched those. He was cool with the starfish. Then it was just mostly like beach and play and pool and all that fun stuff. So it was wicked. But now it's like the moment where you just got off a plane with two kids 4 and under.
Were they good on the plane?
Yeah, Annie gets antsy.
That's all you can
ask. It's hard to ask for a
kids.
kid to sit still for 4 hours, right? And like, we were on a plane that didn't have in-flight like entertainment or Wi-Fi or anything. So like the coloring got old. Luckily, I downloaded a couple episodes of Paw Patrol, but like we don't want our kids glued to a screen the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
So they had their leapfrog pads where they were like kind of learning, you know, Doc McStuffins comes through in the clutch. You probably don't know Doc McStuffins yet. She probably could have helped you with your sickness. But anyways.
Because that's the thing about my sickness is I'm stupid now. I forgot to mention that off the top is like, guys, I don't know what's going on with me, but since I had that virus last week, it took a lot of my brain cells with it.
So you are experiencing the mom brain fog. You're now a mother.
I just catch myself like, am I stupid? I couldn't remember a word the other day. I was in a meeting with Jane. Anyways, but that's been the worst part of it.
Man, that happens to me all of the time. And I owe you a huge thanks for, holding up keeping the farm from burning down while I was gone with my kids, trying to have them not drown and get eaten by, oh my gosh. And the other thing, I sent you a video, I think, of the first day we were there. We saw this little swordfish, not alive anymore, just floating around in the water. I'm like, Ed, get that out of the water. Like, we should get that out. So the kids were so enamored with this dead fish. They didn't know it was dead, however. So we just scooped it up in a bucket and put it to the side. And so I was under our little tent thing that we had talking to Ed's friend Mel, and Annie comes over with this fish in hand, just like playing with it and talking to us about it. And then like she brought it swimming with her in the water. I was like, gross, man. Go wash your hands. This is
so funny.
Gnarly. Yeah. Anyways, that was my week. It was good to be back. Now it's like cold. It's not even cold here where we live in Toronto. It's like 1 degree today.
The worst weather in my personal opinion.
And I'm going to get like my Northern Ontario card stripped for saying this, but like I'm freezing and I'm wearing, thank you, Erin Ambrose, for the most comfy, biggest, warmest sweater ever.
Yeah, I love those CCM sweaters.
Literally, I went to my closet. I'm like, what am I going to wear today? And I was like, oh, baby, I'm cuddling up in this bad boy.
Dude, it's just a different kind of cold.
Yeah.
There's a bite to it, and something about the grayness and the lack of snow. Somehow the snow insulates the world, keeps
Makes
it a little
warm.
warmer.
You're right.
Yeah.
A snowy day.
I
Where
went up to Gravenhurst,
Yeah.
my
Did
boyfriend's
you?
cottage the past week.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't there the whole week, but we went up for a day.
Enzo.
It mostly needed a check on because if you guys are from this kind of neck of the woods in the GTA, about 2 hours north of Toronto, got literally like 6 to 7 feet of snow.
What?
The snowbanks are insane. Like the cottage was buried when we went up
What?
there. So we did a couple days of digging out,
I
which
love
definitely
that.
was better for the cold. That
That's
helped
winter.
for
That's
sure.
what winter's supposed to be. It's
I
not supposed
know.
to be slushy and wet.
And I wasn't cold while I was doing that because you're moving, you're outside. I
Yeah.
always say that winter in Toronto is kind of worse than winter in Thunder Bay just because we don't do winter super well here.
No.
Like, you know what to do. There's stuff to do. You can fish, you can go skiing, you know how to keep warm. But anyways, now we're just here in the
Here
gray
you're
and the cold.
washing your kids' snowsuits because they're muddy.
Yeah.
Like,
the worst.
what?
It's the worst.
I don't want to wash snowsuits. Anyways.
Doesn't sound like any fun at all. You know what does sound like fun? The PWHL is finally back. And
I
there
know.
was lots of international news over the last week.
Yep.
So let's get into our headlines.
Let's do it.
So I mentioned lots of international hockey news. We'll start with Olympic qualifiers
Mhm.
because Nella is just out of control in her very first game, her first official game, because I think she played some unsanctioned games with the senior national team before, but this was her first official game with the senior national team. And it was everything you could dream of seeing for her debut and more.
Yeah, the senior team for Slovakia is definitely excited to have Nela Pushinova in the mix. And Wisconsin's probably just salivating. Just like, come on and get to university already. She's a stud, 16 years old, playing her first game with the national team, which is wildly incredible. But not surprising after seeing her at 14 pull a Michigan at the under 18s. Like,
Yeah.
the confidence this
She
kid,
loves the Michigan too.
yeah. What it takes confidence to pull something like that, because if you try it and you kind of bobble it or screw it up or you miss, not a great look, especially as a young kid trying to forge your way through.
Yeah.
However, she's the real deal. Love the way she played. This was against Kazakhstan. She did it again at the senior level with her national team. Another Michigan goal. She had 4 goals and 5 points in that game. Wisco, you better hope she doesn't become a Buckeye fan, because if I ever meet this kid, let me tell you, I'm going to slap an Ohio State hat on her. I know it's illegal. You can't boost like that. I get it. But however, Wisconsin's got to go, and it's going to be awesome to see her perform in the WCHA when time comes. But we've got a rising star, and you know she's going to be one to look out for, especially in the Pdub after her minimum 4 years at university. So
That's what's so crazy about seeing her highlights right now is
I know.
how long we are
still
going
have
to
to
wait to see her in the PWHL.
I know.
She is amazing. She is worth the hype. If you have an opportunity to watch her play and you haven't seen her play yet, make sure you lay eyes on this young player,
Pull
because
up her
she is
highlights.
something else.
Holy.
And we will be seeing her for a very long time
Yeah.
in the international game and at the professional level. Speaking of the international game and players who we are going to have to wait to see in the PWHL, Abby Murphy is someone that we shed tears over when she told us that she's going to play
Another year at school.
another year in the NCAA.
Jeepers, Abby.
Jeepers indeed. She stepped up for the USA. USA wins gold at the Six Nations tournament, the third leg of the World Euro Hockey Tour, and Abby Murphy was the star in the gold medal game.
Yeah, and look, when the deal was made to have, this, I guess, international break, whatever you want to call it, for them to go over and play. It was supposed to be, Canada and the US were like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll send our development teams, okay, keep that in mind, to play your national teams. Turns out there was only one PWHL player that went.
Emma Soderberg, was the only PWHL player at the event.
Right, and then none of the others went. So all of their so-called national teams of these other countries weren't there. So the Americans' development team, keep in mind players that are still in college, it's basically half of their national team. So when they released their roster, I remember kind of giving it a little giggle and being like, no one's going to be able to hold a candle to this team. You got Murphy, you got Harvey. Like, it was to the point where I was just like, should they have even asked all of these players, or should they have asked other players to come up and get experience? You know what I mean?
Right.
However, they were expecting to play all of these other national teams, which didn't end up happening. But kudos to Canada, who didn't have
they were right in
half
that
of their
game.
national team. They were right. It was a 1-goal game, right? They were right there with them. So if their development team can kind of stick with a team that is over half of their national team, I think the future is bright for Canada. That's looking pretty good. And maybe some of these younger players will get, a bit more of a sniff at the upper level. That being said, one team that I was following along, Sweden's taken a lot of negative press over the past many of years, actually, since 2019.
I was going to say, it's been like 2019, past
even
half
before.
a decade,
The funding, the terrible coaching, just not listening to their players. They had a lot of good players walk away from the national team because of all of this. They had players that didn't even want to go and play for them at all, that were coming up through the ranks. So to see now that there is funding being implemented into this program, their under 18 team is starting to thrive now. I was talking with Sherry Piper earlier, and she said their under 18 team's looking legit, which is good because you always need those players funneling up. And they defeated Finland, who's always in and around, the silver bronze conversation.
Yeah.
They defeated them for third place. And you know what? I like that. That's a confidence boost because they didn't have, like I said, any of their other players. It was all of these, I won't say unknown, but these players really chomping at the bit to play for the national team, doing the work and earning that third place finish. One team that really obviously kind of took a hit with a lot of the players in the Pdub that didn't go play for them was Czechia.
Yeah.
But I think that's okay. Listen, I see the point where USA and Canada were mildly upset because they weren't getting the best of the best out of all the other teams to challenge their U18. But it's okay to teach them, to set the precedent for the rest of the countries to catch up. Czechia, these players now need to learn what it's like to fill the void, because all of these players that play in the Pdub, I'm not going to say they're going to be around for a short period of time, but they're inevitably going to have to leave. So they do need these players to get experience like this, to learn what it's like to carry the torch and fill those shoes, right?
Yeah.
So obviously not the finish they wanted, but like I said, it's experience that you're depositing into the experience bank, and you can withdraw at any point. So I like that this tournament happened. I'm not surprised at the finish with USA winning by any means, as mentioned, due to their roster, their very bolstered roster. But I think it's a good break for everybody too in the league. There was, 3 games everybody played. Time for everybody just to take a quick look back and a breath and just kind of hit the reset button.
Yeah. Any standouts from the tournament other than Abby Murphy, obviously?
Well, Abby Murphy tore it up in the final. And look, we expect the whole tournament. We expect Abby Murphy to do Abby Murphy things. Kramer with Canada, she's a beast, this kid.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see her in this league. One, just a few things with her game. It's just like at any level when you go from your club teams to NCAA or U Sport, it's a titch faster. You got to make decisions a little bit quicker. You got to know where you're moving the puck before you get it a bit quicker. You have to have your head on a swivel so much more. Now there's going to be a lot more contact, especially with PWHL. I feel like that's going to be allowed in a lot more of these leagues. So with her, it's just with the national program, getting used to that extra little, I don't want to say extra little, with the small, minute bits of seconds that you're losing in every decision that you have to make, because she's got it. She's smart, right? It's just a matter of learning to read the game a little bit quicker. She's going to be a boss.
Yeah. So we talked about the fact that teams got a chance to hit the brakes this week after 3 games. So we thought we'd go through kind of every team's 3 games that they'd played up to this point and get us set for tonight's game between Ottawa and Boston.
Yeah.
So we'll go through the standings and we'll start with Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I'm stupid now. Like, it's just something that I have to accept. Something that I'm going through. We'll start with Minnesota, who's in first place. Champions last year.
Yep.
They lost that first one in OT. We were in the building. We might be the hoax. No, we're not. Please invite us back to Minnesota. We had a lot of fun there.
Don't come out.
Please, we want to come back.
She didn't mean it.
But they've been rolling since then.
Yeah, and look, that game too. That was even a good game. The first game they lost, right? It just sucked. It was their banner raising season.
I feel like
opener.
that always happens, though.
It's tough. You're standing around. I don't know. I felt bad for them to lose that game. However, it's not like it was like a horrible game.
No,
right? They lost in overtime, which is totally fine. Then they win their next two. And I like the way their season is gone because they lost a tight one in OT, right? So you get the loss in their belt. That really ticks you off. And then they go and play Boston, a rematch of last year's final. It was a tight 2-1 win. So now they've got, okay, beginning of the year, we're already learning how to play in a tight game. We're learning how to close it out against a team that, quite frankly, hates us and wants nothing more than to mop the floor with us. And then they come to Toronto and they absolutely mop the floor with the Scepters, who are just struggling to find their footing. So good bouts of confidence being breathed into this team. Good experience for them. You know, it's okay to have a loss under your belt this early. We saw last season what happens with teams that lose early. It's totally fine. They can kind of, find their way through it. But I still think they have championship form. And I got to give props to Ken Klee. I just like the way this guy coaches. I like the way the players talk about him. It just seems like he's got a good thing going in terms of like, these are the systems. This is what we're doing. And I trust you guys to play your game within it. And he holds them accountable. And he's not a guy that's going to roll 4 lines. He knows how to run his bench properly. And I think it shows. So I think they're still in championship form. And I still think that they are the team to beat here in the PWHL.
Yeah, it looks that way right now. Except New York has had quite the turnaround since their last place finish last year. They got Sarah Fillier. We were all excited to see Sarah Fillier and Carpenter play together. And
for all the right reasons.
Dude, like, I don't even know how to talk about it anymore because we've been singing about it for the last week or so.
Yeah.
They also had a Wicked Awesome Fan Fest. I want to shout out. I think that happened over the weekend, and they got their home opener on
the 18th.
Wednesday. So if you guys don't have tickets yet and you are in the New York area, make sure you get out to that game.
Get there.
Because what the hell? Watching these two play is just the most insane thing in the world.
I know. And up close and personal, too. I don't doubt you get some pretty good tickets. However, they had the hardest start of the season out of any team in the league, and they are sitting in second place.
That's one of the most important
all 3
things
games
about
are on
it
the road.
To me. Yeah.
All 3 games are on the road, right? So they come up with a powerful punch. They're excited. They got a new coach in Greg Fargo. They've got a great morale in the room. They're excited to prove that last year was just a big mistake. Crumple that thing up, throw it away. They got Philly in the room. Carp's happy and smiling again.
Seeing her smile, I'm like, wow.
My team, New York, is looking pretty. Look, here's the thing with them. Their last game that they lost, they looked tired. And understandably so. You've been on the road all for the beginning of the season, which is, quite frankly, it's like emotionally exhausting too, because you're so stoked to get on the road. You're excited to see all your friends in their jerseys. You're wearing your jersey, your new jersey, right? You're excited to play with all of these new players. So I feel like it was understandable for them to come out with like no jump in that first. They kind of really started to fight back a little bit, but it wasn't really the New York team that we had seen in the first 2 games. That said, not an excuse. You're a pro. You're playing at the pro level. The season's going to be long. It's going to be grueling. The physical play is going to take a toll on a lot of these ladies, especially the newcomers to the league. Don't be surprised if you see Fillier starting to take some big knocks out there, because these teams are going to have to learn to slow down these players one way or another, right?
Yeah,
and
that was one thing I found pretty interesting. I heard Renata Fast say it in an interview recently that to start this season, the first 3 games, from their perspective, and I think Malte said the same thing, and those are 2 pretty physical players. The 3 games that they've played this season have felt more physical than last year already.
Wow.
Like, that's going to be taxing on the body.
Yeah. And especially, I feel like players were training the right way.
True.
Right? Now they were able to have that dialogue with their trainers in the off season, and their trainers were able to see kind of what the league, because like you can say, there's going to be, body contact in the PWHL, but you don't really know how much the players are going to follow through with it. And so now that they saw, they got a little litmus test, then the trainers can kind of train them accordingly. And so these players are coming in built different, if you will. So yeah, I don't doubt there's going to be a point in the season where we're just going to see players maybe taking games off for recovery and things like that. But for the most part, you're a pro now. It's your job. You take the licks and you keep on trucking.
Montreal.
Man, it's just the way the schedule rolled out. But I know everyone says, oh, Montreal and Toronto, that's the rivalry. I don't know. I think Montreal-Ottawa is quite the rivalry, and probably because they played each other twice already. But those games are fun between those two teams. I like them. And I like the raucous crowds in both markets. I like how educated all of their fans are and how the in-house arena teams make the atmosphere so great, and they really feed into those fans, which in turn the fans feed into the players.
That's a great point. I love how the markets know their individual fans and give them exactly what they want. Like Ottawa's opening game with the phone lights, everybody else did the bracelets, but Ottawa being the charge and knowing how charged up their fans are, they just read that moment so well.
Perfect. They nailed it. They got a shootout win and a win, and then a loss to New York. I think it was 4-1 loss to New York, which I don't want to say shocked me. I expected that game to be a little bit more close. However, I had been talking to Corey Chevry a little bit, and she's like, look, we're still fine tuning some things. There are areas where, we're close to getting, our systems right, or just players getting used to doing things a certain way that we're asking them. But once those things start happening, our game's really going to come together, and I think we're going to be a big threat. I was like, cool. I dig it. You're in the middle of the pack. Like I said, we're 3 games in. No one's hitting the panic button on anybody yet. But if and when this team does shape up into what Corey, has mapped out for them, I'm very excited to see what this Montreal team can bring. Not just their top line, the team.
Yeah. I loved what Pooh said after a game. It was after when she had the hard hat, when she got that jailbreak goal.
Yeah.
And she just looked so tired. And she said every single game in this league is going to be a battle, but we won this one tonight, and we're going to continue to kind of figure out who we are as a group. I feel like everybody's in that stage right now.
Right. Everyone's just trying to find an identity.
Yeah. And Ottawa, that rings true for Ottawa, I would say.
Yeah, same thing. I feel like this team's still coming around.
Yeah.
Similar to last year, kind of waiting for that offense to really click. I'd mentioned before the break, having Brianne Jenner reinserted into the lineup, I expected a little bit more from the team offensively. But again, that might just come with chemistry still being built and getting used to new line mates, new roles, all that stuff. But I want to see big things from Ottawa this year. I want to see those offensive players really, pull through and start lighting the lamp like we expected them. And they kind of did at the end of last year, right?
Yeah.
Because once you get that ball rolling, once the floodgates open a little bit, they can kick them open. And all of a sudden we're going to have this this Ottawa team that, is giving their fans exactly what they show up to see every game.
Yeah, absolutely. Jenner, I think, had 5 shots
I know,
in that
first game back.
So I'm excited to see her in Boston tonight. She's going to be rolling. Toronto, starting this year, very similar to how they started last year. We talked a lot about this last episode, struggling to put that full kind of 60 minutes together, but you see these moments where they just look so good and you can see exactly who they could be. Yeah,
it's like Toronto, you don't have to do the same thing that you did last year. We read that story. Show us a different one.
We loved it.
Yeah, it's almost like the same thing. They're just struggling to get out of their own end. It feels like the breakouts aren't really there. There's a point in a game where they're just flying a player out and just getting it out of their zone, which works. But is that what you have drawn up? Where's this cohesiveness? And I felt like last year we were waiting for that too. Last year there was a point where you and I were like, what's up with Renata Fast and Jocelyn Larocque? Maybe they need to be separated. This year I kind of feel the same thing. I'm not saying they're playing bad. I'm just saying my expectation for them is set at a certain level, and I will never lower it for those two because I know what they can bring. And it's not like I'm setting it too high. It's expectation that should be met every game. And unfortunately, it's just not quite there. Sarah Nurse, to me, quite frankly, has come back ready to rock and roll this year. Props to her.
Yeah.
Her line changed a little bit. They threw Malte on that line. It was originally her, Watts, and Izzy Daniel. And I really like that line, but she's showing up and showing out and just doing exactly, I think, what she's been told to do. Leading a line of young players like that off the hop was fantastic because their line was the most notable and most noticeable line out there every game with the youngsters. But that being said, they're leading. She's leading, right? She's dragging her team with her. It's just a matter of everybody catching up and really getting that cohesiveness. Because, you've played Julia. when the breakouts happen easy, you've played at a level.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When breakouts are easy, when you're getting out of your end easy, even if it's controlled chaos, which is what Carla and I used to call it, like it feels a little chaotic, but the D are in control and so are the forwards.
Yes.
And everything's okay. There's no panic. When you're getting out of your end easy, the offense just comes so naturally because all those players on this team are so naturally gifted that, all of a sudden your zone entries are easier. That's the other thing with this team. Their neutral zone feels so like bobbly. I just feel like, what are you doing there? Why did you do that? What happened there? And it just feels like this team just needed this break probably to just sit back, really break down what's going on and walk through it slow in practice and just like get your confidence back. Maybe go out, have dinner with everybody. Hell, throw a party, get in a bar fight. I don't care. Just find some of that cohesiveness, that team unity, you know what I mean? Where it's like you're out there as one. We're in this together. Like it's not just Renata's, the best D on this team and she's going to do it and I'm a winger. It's like no, you're scepters. Rep the jersey. You're in this together. Let's move as a unit out of our zone into the neutral zone. As far as I'm concerned with Toronto's team, similar to the way Minnesota does it, which I love the way Minnesota does this, their time they spend in the neutral zone, they fly through that thing. And all good teams do. They don't spend much time dinking around there unless you got to, it's power play or 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, whatever. But neutral zone, that's your speed zone. That's like when you're playing Mario Kart and you hit that super booster, that's where you're hitting it.
Right.
Right? Because then it doesn't matter. Enter with speed, whatever. I don't care. Chip it in and get it. Doesn't matter. If everybody's cooking through there, you're entering the zone with speed. All of a sudden you got the D either on their heels or hearing footsteps, which is the most terrifying thing. And oftentimes when that happens, you're forcing a goalie to come out and play the puck if you dump it in. And there aren't many, I will say there are some, but there aren't many that can handle the puck properly and put it in a good place when there's pressure on the defense and on the goalie. So for me, I would love to see these things come because when they were cruising last year on that win streak, they were doing those things well.
Yeah. And I remember during that I forget how many games they dropped to start the season.
Oh, sorry. At the beginning of the season they dropped? Was
but when
it
they
6?
were in their weird phase to start the season, one thing I remember about the team and about Troy Ryan is how positive he was saying everyone was.
Yeah.
And how everybody was showing up at the rink every day.
Doing work.
Positive, kind of just going through the motions, but doing their work regularly the way that they know how to do business. So I have to imagine that's what they're doing right now, just looking to get back to.
And that's it. It's 3 games, right?
Themselves. Yeah. And it feels so big because you have those 3 games. Like the break is nice because they needed a little reset. But at the same time, like 3 games and you just marinate for a week and you're like, okay, that feels like the season. Oh, it's not at all, but you know what I mean? It's like you want to get right back at it.
Well, get hungry, right? It'll be interesting to see who's the hungriest when they come out of this.
Yeah.
You know who I think it's going to be? Say it.
You think Boston's going to come out real hungry?
I think they're going to come real hungry. Yeah. Because look, they're at the bottom of the barrel, not where they want to be. They know what it's like to be on the outside looking in, going for a playoff push. And I don't think they want to be there. I think they believe they're truly better than that, right? They were in the finals last year. They've got a reputation to live up to here. Hillary's playing her best hockey right now. Like fantastic hockey. Hannah Bilka, I see her warming up a little bit. Look, like I said, it's a jump into this new league. It's a step up. Like this isn't an easy thing to do. So I think I'm going to see more out of her.
Yeah. It's
Mueller,
worth they're going into this. They went into the break very strong. Like that last game to end, that's exactly how you wanted to end going into it. 2 big rips from the point. Bilka looking a little bit better.
100%. You got Keller cruising. You got everybody happy, right? They're not going into the break like, man, we lost a tight one to Toronto. Our goalie played out of her face, again. They're going into break with confidence and happy. Keller gripped a couple. You don't want to go into the break thinking, man, we played a tight one against Toronto and we lost. Our goalie played out of her face. Erin Frankel doing Erin Frankel things, making 40 plus stops again, and we still can't get a win for her. That sucks. Then you got Mueller going down and she's out and brutal. It's like, no, we got to win. Mueller's going to come back healthy. She's going to be rocking. Bilka's finding her stride. Hill, just you do you. You be awesome.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no one bug Hill.
Don't change a thing.
Don't look at her.
You rock. Don't ever change.
No, but honestly, I feel like they're going to come back with a chip. And that's how Courtney Burchard coaches. And that's the way she played as well. That girl loved nothing more than having a big chip on her shoulder and playing the FU game.
Yeah.
And I dig it. And you see it in the team. They're kind of slowly, like really, finding that identity in them with that. And look, I still like this team a lot. New York, I told you, is the team that I would play for. I still call them my team. Even though we don't really have a team, guys, we just cheer for everybody to have fun out there.
We just want everyone to have a good time.
But I do like this Boston team because I feel like they do have that Boston attitude. The Boston attitude.
The Boston attitude. And that is a very good transition into our player interview this week.
Yeah.
This segment is presented by Bravado Designs, official bra partner of the PWHL, offering an understated, uncomplicated collection of intimate apparel that makes you feel beautiful, uplifted, and confident underneath it all.
Supporting the ladies and supporting our ladies.
Thank you very much, Bravado. We've had a lot of fun working with you so far.
That's not their tagline. I just made that up, by the way.
Supporting the ladies and supporting our ladies. Well, either way, this stuff is really nice. Like,
it's great.
I'm not a bra person at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an avoider of the bra. I'm aware of the Calvin Klein training bra at 26 years old.
Gross.
But they sent it. No, it's still nice. I still like my Calvin Klein training bra. But they sent us these beautiful pieces.
I know.
And now it is in the garbage. Like, now I actually know why wearing bras is important.
Yeah, because they fit right and they're properly made
And
for
they're
a woman's
comfortable.
body, not designed by a man.
I know. My girls are sitting there like smiling.
I know.
It's been really nice. Sorry, Susanna Tapani, that we introed your interview like this because it was worth it. Susanna Tapani has been one of my favorite players to watch in international hockey for a long time.
She's so humble. Like legit, everybody I talk to about her, especially her ringette career, they're like, yeah, she's the Wayne Gretzky of ringette. And I kept trying to get it out of her to no avail.
To say, I am the Wayne Gretzky of ringette?
She would not. She just laughed at me in my face. I was like, all right, cool.
Okay, so she didn't say she was the Wayne Gretzky of ringette. But she said a lot of other interesting things. She has a great story. The multi-sport athlete and just overall great character. Here is Susanna Tapani from the Boston Fleet.
All right, I've been waiting for some time to finally get this interview done because, one, respect you as a player, love the way you play. Two, your story is so unique and different than anybody else's I think we're going to have on this podcast. Actually, I don't even think I know anybody else that has the background that you do, which is the coolest thing. Now, on the Jocks and Jills podcast, Susanna Tapani, we always start from the beginning. And the coolest thing I learned about you is your beginning on learning how to skate or being on the ice actually started when you were in your mom's belly. Your mom was playing ringette when she was pregnant with you. Is that true?
That is true. At least that's what they told me.
That's what I was told as well. So glad to see this rings true. So we usually ask people, when their love for hockey started. But for you, I can only assume that your first love was ringette.
Yeah. So my mom played ringette and I started playing ringette too. And I was always watching hockey as every other sports too, but I just watched it. And my brother and my dad played hockey, but I never even thought it would be possible me to play it. So, but yeah, I love all the sports, but
so when did you start playing ringette? How old were you?
I remember I was playing with my mom before I went to the team or joined the team, but I was probably 6 years old when I joined the team. And since that, I've been playing ringette.
And then at what point were you like, I probably want to try some hockey too. Toss me one of those sticks. Let's see what I can do.
It wasn't me, actually.
It wasn't?
No, it was the boys team in my home city. They didn't have enough players. Because it's a very small city. And then they probably just figured that we could skate already. So it would be easier for us that to have new players who start playing from the beginning. So then they just asked, the coach asked me if I want to try hockey. I was like, well, sure. And I actually liked it a lot from the beginning. And then I just kind of kept going.
So how old were you at that point?
Nobody remembers, but I think I was around 14 years old.
14 when you first picked up a hockey stick? Had you ever played hockey? Picked up a stick before that?
I don't think so.
Come on.
I remember I tried a couple of times when we were just skating with my family, but I always remember that I didn't like it and I just switched to ringette stick. So my mom and me played ringette and then my brother and dad played hockey, but not really.
So you pick up the stick, you decide, fine, I'm going to play for this boys team because they need me because I'm a really good player. But you didn't stop playing ringette, right?
No, I played both. And that's probably like the reason that I liked it, because then I could like be more on the ice and skate more.
Right.
I just love like playing all the sports. So that was probably the reason I liked it. And obviously like I wasn't good at all. And I'm pretty quick like learning new things. So that was probably the one thing too. Like I just kept going.
So hockey stayed fun for you for a while because your ringette career took off. You're like the Wayne Gretzky of ringette. Is that fair to say? Like your highlight reel goals and stuff that we've pulled and played during our Women's World Championships are absolutely insane, by the way. Look up some of Susanna's highlights. They're ridiculous. So your ringette career was taking off, I would say professionally, and hockey stayed fun until when?
Pretty soon I joined the under 18, the national team, and that was probably like the biggest things in hockey for me, because I don't know if like otherwise it would have probably just stayed for fun, like for like forever.
Had anybody on that hockey team, did anybody know or realize how great you were at ringette?
I don't actually know. I just remember when I went to my first national team camp for hockey and I had my ringette gear still, and I had to look for like whoever was sitting next to me. I had to look like how they're gonna like wear the equipment.
Did you have that mask that had like all of the cage crosses on it?
No, we don't have actually that. In
no, you didn't. You guys don't do that.
I probably had my bubble.
Right. You are a bubble wearer.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like fun for me for a long time. Probably the high school was one step forward, because then I had to move away from home because I played 2 sports. So I had to go like to this like sports high school. And then it kind of like got a little more serious.
Yep.
But I think it's been like my thing too. Like it's just fun for me. I don't think take it too seriously.
You decided to let go of ringette and play in this league full time. Was that hard for you to do? Because I feel like, I don't know, ringette probably still owns a large part of your heart.
Yeah, it's always part of me, for sure. And it was a hard decision, but I was kind of like at the, like in my career, I'm happy that I played ringette so long, and I took 1 year that I had a break from hockey because I wanted to only like play ringette. And we had the home worlds, and we won the championship in Finland. So that was kind of like, I don't know if it was the ending, but it was kind of like one ending in ringette. So I was ready to move forward and try hockey here and play professionally. So that was perfect timing for me.
Start a new chapter. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you bring any of your ringette gear to Boston? Like, have you showed any of the ladies? Have they tried?
I actually have my ringette stick and one ring. I had them last year too, and we actually tried them a couple of times with the girls, and they were like all liked it. And actually our coach in Boston also said that we should like play it sometimes.
That's cool.
Very good for the girls. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Was anybody actually like pretty good? You could like actually say they got some skill?
Yeah, I actually know like the second I see a player, I can almost tell like if they would be like good in ringette too. And there are a couple very good ones.
Yeah.
Also, Erin would be a very good goalie in ringette.
Erin Frankel?
Sure.
Yeah, she kind of, because she's athletic, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
I told that.
Is it more stand-up in ringette for goaltenders?
A little bit, yeah, because you can do like things with the ring. So
right.
The goalie has to be like very patient and not to move. But then when she moves, she has to be really fast.
Right. Yeah. Who's the best player?
Who would be? I don't know. Maybe Sophie Shirley, I would say.
Really?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
She'd be like one of the best at least. There are a couple that could do very well.
Yeah, had any of them told you that they'd play ringette before?
What? I'm sorry?
Have any of the players on the team told you that they had played prior?
I don't know if the Canadians have tried it. Probably some of them have, like in school. But not like, a lot of them didn't even know the sport.
No way. Can you just let everyone know how successful you are at ringette? Just tell everybody, because this is huge. People should know this.
They're always asking me questions because it's probably like interesting for
it is so
they
interesting.
Don't know the sport.
I love it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Do you have any other sport that you were successful at or good at as a kid outside of ringette and hockey?
I did a lot
You did?
Yeah.
Were you the kid that just wanted to miss school, so you did all the sports? That was me.
Probably. Yeah. I was supposed to be, I don't know actually the word, like track and field, when you do like the 7 different sports. Yep. That was my favorite one. And then I did long jump and high jump like the last years I did track and field.
Yeah.
And then skiing, soccer, floorball. I don't know if you have it here.
Floorball, yeah?
Yeah.
With the cool stick that you can stick handle with?
Yeah. Kind of like hockey, but with the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
your stick is like really, really curved?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit more, at least. I did a lot, yeah. And I love them all.
You're still a wild athlete, because I heard, was it last year that you were the fastest athlete of Turku? Is that right? You won the sprint race?
That's just got like
Paavo Nurmi games? Is that what it is?
It was a couple of years ago.
Who'd you beat?
There was like one athlete from like every sport.
Yeah. And you were representing hockey?
I was representing Ringhead actually.
No way you were? Who was the hockey player?
I think Ringhead has been very successful in that competition like almost every year.
Really?
Yeah.
So you smoked everybody. Who'd you beat?
There was like just a soccer player, floorball player, volleyball player, like almost every sport from Turku.
You outran a soccer player and crushed him in this. Was it a 60 or 100 meter sprint?
It was 60 meters.
60 meter sprint.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your time was?
Can't remember anymore.
No. She doesn't even like to brag about her stuff. I was just like, yeah, I just win everything that I play in, so it's no big deal. You went to the University of North Dakota for a year. One, why just 1 year? And two, how come there? What brought you there?
We were actually discussing about it today, because the girls were like, why did you go to North Dakota?
Yeah.
But, probably because they had the assistant coach was from Sweden. So we had a lot of players from Europe.
Yep.
And also Michelle Karvinen played there. So it was probably like easier for me to go there.
Yep.
And it was my first Olympic year. So that was probably the first year I played only hockey.
Yeah.
So that was the reason I wanted to like try it. And why 1 year? I really like it there.
Yep.
The hockey was good. Like the team was good. The school was good.
The arena's sweet.
Yeah, it was amazing. But I had my school in Finland too, so it was probably just like easier for me to finish the school in Finland because it's very different there.
I feel like you might be one of the players that have played in the most leagues. You've played in Finland, Sweden, Russia, NCAA, signed with the PHF, and then it disbanded, and then now you're in the PWHL. So your journey is pretty unique on the hockey side. You played for a men's U18 team, correct? But then you had to step away because it overlapped with some of your ringette training or ringette games. There was too much of a conflict.
Yeah, I played with them 1 year, but then the next season
they didn't
I don't know what was the problem really, but like I couldn't join like every game, and they just like we'll say that like I would say that the parents, like some of the boys' parents didn't like us. Then their sons couldn't play that much, so that was probably like the
understood.
biggest
They didn't like that you were better than everybody. That was an issue. So of all of those leagues, what sets the PWHL apart? What makes you feel like a true professional in women's hockey?
Can you say that again?
What about this league?
Yeah,
makes you feel like a true professional? What's different about it?
I would say just the level of hockey here, because we have all the best players from all around the world. So when you're on the ice, it just feels like you're with the professionals, and the game is like very high level hockey. So I would say that, and also because the crowds are like bigger here because the hockey is good. So then people actually want to like come to see the games.
You were drafted to Minnesota 25th overall. You had some troubles getting over to Minnesota at first. Comes to my understanding. You have some teammates that told me that something happens to you almost every day. It's just for whatever reason, if there's anything that goes wrong or something strange or weird that happens, it's just always happens to you. So I heard your travel to Minnesota was relatively difficult. I heard there was a printer issue in Canada trying to get your visa, so you were stuck in Canada. Walk us through what you went through to finally reach your destination to become a PWHL player in Minnesota.
Honestly, I can't even remember anymore because it's like every time I try to go somewhere, there is something. The flight is delayed or canceled, or I have to stay somewhere. Like every time.
This is what I heard.
And it just keeps going this season too.
Stop, really?
I was stuck in Stockholm for 2 days before I came here. I missed the first day, our camps.
Stop.
And then I went to get my visa to Ottawa again.
Yeah.
Last time we were stuck in there like for 2 days too. This time my flight was canceled. So yeah, I had to like book a new flight, go there. I was super late and yeah, but I got my visa. Everything always like works out like at the end, but it's just like, yeah, it's not boring life at least.
No, and I heard when you were traded, which I want to talk to you about a little bit, but I heard when you were traded from Minnesota to Boston, you had left Minnesota going to Boston, but you actually had a friend flying over to visit you in Minnesota. So your poor friend.
My friend and my parents just booked the flights to Minnesota to like come see the games.
No.
And this, like the trade happened probably like 2 days after they booked the flights.
Oh no.
And also I was stuck in Amsterdam. We had a national team camp in Europe. I got back finally in Minnesota and I heard I got traded while I was at the airport still.
Oh no.
So yeah.
So you had no idea?
No idea.
No.
I was just like, I just want to go home like and just lay on my bed and, you know.
Meanwhile, you had to pack up your bed and move it to Boston.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody on the Boston team that kind of helped you get acquainted to the area? And
not really. I knew like the European players a little bit, but I only like played against them. But my roommate, Abby Cooks, got traded too. So that was the best thing because then we just moved together. And it
you had someone to lean on.
Easier, yeah.
Cool. You were the only Finnish player in the league last year. Were there a lot of, Finnish players that were reaching out to you, talking to you, ask you what it was like to play? Because there are more in the league this year, obviously.
Yeah, a few, but I think it's not like very common to do in Finland. They're like super shy, I think.
Right.
But I did like a couple interviews and like I try to like talk about the league so people would know and like the girls would like have something to like, like look forward to. So yeah, I think they were watching the games, but they were probably too shy to ask me a lot of questions. But yeah, I went to a couple camps during the summer and then they could like ask me questions more. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
You probably get more questions from the guys. I understand you train with some NHL players in the summer.
Yeah, I usually do during the summer.
So who's the hardest working of the boys? I got to know this because I know you train with like Capo Kakko, Arturi Lehkonen, Mikko Rantanen, Rasmus Ristolainen. So who's the hardest working?
I'd say like off the ice would be Ristolainen.
Really?
Yeah, he really likes to work out and
he's a beast.
But yeah, off the ice probably him. But then overall, I would say Arturi Lehkonen. But I've been skating with him like for many years, and he's always the one who was like pushing me like forward.
Is
like
he good?
He's so competitive. So it's like whatever you do is like competition with him.
But
the best. I like it.
So you guys have been pals for how long?
Probably like 8 years or something. And his dad is like the one who's coaching us on the ice. So yeah, I really like their family. They're like, very competitive family.
Awesome. And does he keep up with how you do throughout the season? Like, does he reach out at all or?
Not that much, but I'll probably try to get to like see their games if they come to Boston at some point.
Heck yeah, hit him up for some tickets.
Yeah.
I can't have you sit here and not talk to you about the 2019 Women's World Hockey Championship because I still lose sleep over this. And I've mentioned it before and I'm sure you do as well. But for those who don't know, it was in Finland. Finland had defeated Canada in the quarterfinals to punch their ticket to the gold medal game. In my opinion, they beat the U.S. to earn gold. However, there was a very controversial call it was Jenny Hirikoski that scored, right?
No, it was Petra Nieminen.
Oh yeah, Nieminen. And it was assisted by...
Probably, yeah. She was the one who went to the net.
Yes, correct. So it was a strange thing where all of a sudden everyone thought Finland had won. I was standing on your bench waiting to interview all of you. Your stuff was everywhere. I hugged your coach. I was so proud of you guys because it was a really cool moment and it was history making. Got called back for goaltender interference. All of a sudden you guys are in the box. Am I right? You guys have a penalty. It's overtime.
Yep.
Anyways, it goes to a shootout. Unfortunately, you guys didn't pull through. But I guess my question for you is, after the goal got called back, you guys thought you had won. You had to put your helmets back on. What was said, if anything, and what were the emotions going through all of you before having to go back out for puck drop?
I remember the whole team was like on the ice, just waiting for the call, kind of. And I think we had a really good team chemistry that year. And we were just kind of like laughing and just waiting for the call. And then when it finally came and they called it back, it was actually pretty good, like, not feeling, but like we were all like pretty like positive and we were just like, okay, we have a power play now. Let's just score another goal. It's like, we actually like believed, like everyone believed like each other. And nobody was like angry or anything at that point.
There was still belief that you guys were going to pull it off.
Yeah.
Because Noora Räty was playing out of her mind that tournament.
Yeah.
It was like it was almost impossible to beat. Yeah. Did you guys feel that truly?
For
like
sure,
you guys...
Goalie always helps. But I feel like it was like every single player believed like in each other. That was probably the biggest thing. And unfortunately, we didn't score in the power play, but there was still time. But then, well, shootouts is always like 50-50. So then we probably like a little bit like lost belief, but there was still a chance. But yeah. This is sad ending.
Afterwards, obviously gut-wrenching, heartbreaking. What was said in the locker room, if anything, or was it just left at that?
Honestly, I don't remember anything from the locker room. I remember the next day, probably. The morning.
Why is that?
Just the morning, I felt like very like empty, kind of. And then we left home right away, like the next day. And I remember I was sitting in the car, probably like quiet the whole 2 hours I was driving to home. And it took like a long time after. I didn't even remember when I was like actually like over it, but the feeling was like super empty. Just like we were so close.
Did Finland celebrate you guys at least? I feel like the silver was the best finish you've had at a Worlds.
I don't remember. Did we have any like nothing special? I think.
Really?
No. If we would have won, there would be like
obviously there would have been a massive party. I've been to Finland before. You guys know how to do it.
Maybe they just thought that we don't want to celebrate because we just lost.
That
probably,
way.
Yeah. Even if it was a history and it was obviously a big thing like after a while. Yeah. But then it was just like like a couple of months after, so they didn't want to probably like celebrate it anymore.
I mean, I still feel like it was worth celebrating. Did the moment in the finals last year where Minnesota had scored, did that kind of bring back a little bit of traumatic? It did?
Yeah, I was like in Espoo when we were waiting for that call. That was actually funny. And I felt like I was like over it for like sure, like after a couple of months, like the Espoo thing. Mm-hmm. But that thing that happened in Minnesota last year, it was kind of like the final closer for me. Right. And that was a weird feeling too, but I felt so good after it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Thanks to Alina Mueller getting that goal. So you're over it now. The goal callback thing, that was the whole traumatic experience cured. I was talking you up at the beginning of this interview, but you are such a big deal in Finland that there was actually a documentary done on you called Icebreaker. And I was told that there was a point in time where you were unsure if the documentary was ever going to be made just based on the time that it took for these people to collect raw footage and video of you. You were wondering if they just wanted to hang out with you or not. But what was it like to have that done for you and to kind of star in your own documentary?
Yeah, it was a long time that they were making it. It was like probably like 4 years.
I heard it was like 2 or 3 years long.
Yeah. But it was kind of funny. They like we were like really close with them at the end. They were more like my friends, and we were actually like traveling a lot. We did this very long road trip from Florida where we had a national team camp for hockey.
Okay.
And then we played in Canada, the Ringette Worlds. So we rented a car with them and drove all the way from Florida to, I think it was in Toronto actually, here.
Was it?
I think so.
It was in Toronto?
Probably.
So you probably went for, probably would have stopped in Pittsburgh at some
we actually went to Nashville and some other places that we just wanted to see. But it was cool. And then we were just like, I didn't even like recognize or notice the cameras anymore because it was more like just like,
Became normal, yeah.
Yeah.
It took them 4 years to get it to feel normal.
Yeah, probably.
And then I heard that there was supposed to be a grand, showing, and then COVID hit. Yeah. So there was no grand showing.
No. But it was actually nice for me at least because we had a little show and I could invite like all my like closest friends and my family. So that was actually a very big moment for me still.
And does it still play on Finnish TV from time to time?
Time to time, yeah. And you can still like find it from somewhere for sure. But it's fun to watch like now because I feel like it's like a long time ago.
Yeah. You're not the only famous member of your family. You also have an uncle who won Mr. Finland, which for those who don't know, it's the best looking man in Finland, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What's your uncle's name?
Mika.
Mika?
Mika Tapani. Yeah.
And is the family proud of him? Do you have is he like face on the front of a magazine? Like, can we get a picture of this?
I think, I found some pictures because he was like super young at that time, like 19 probably. But yeah, I found some pictures and it was actually like fun to watch because he was only wearing swimsuits or something.
Stop, he was wearing a Speedo?
Speedo, yeah. He was actually super funny.
And that's how he won Mr. Finland. But you also won a pretty big award. I hear your community gives out the Cock of the Year.
Yeah. How do you know
and you won
all
that?
These?
How did? First off, what the heck is that? Secondly, did you wear the costume on stage?
I did.
Explain to everybody, what is this?
It's my home city.
Yeah.
What I said, it's very small city.
Yeah.
And it's famous for its like chickens and eggs.
Okay.
So that's why it's like called that, the award. And I think it was after my first Ringette Worlds that we won the gold medal.
Yep.
And I won that award after that. I was probably like 17 or 18 years old. And I was so embarrassed to go to the stage with that. And then you had to like wear costume.
Yeah, chicken costume.
Yeah.
And go on stage and reveal yourself, right?
Yeah, because nobody know like who won that. So then you just take the head off and then everyone can see you. And then you get a lot of eggs.
I heard you got like a year worth of eggs or something.
Probably, yeah. A lot of eggs at least.
Is there footage of this?
I really hope not.
I hope so.
A long time ago.
I sure hope so. Obviously, you've had an incredibly successful career both on the ringette side and on the hockey side. So who has been your biggest supporter throughout your entire career? Was it a coach, a friend, family member?
It's hard to say one because I had 2 sports, a lot of different coaches. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be my first ringette coach when I was a kid and then when I went to the national league in Finland. Mm-hmm. So I was only 16. I had to move out from home, go to the new city, and then I played for him since I was 16 till probably like 30 years old. So he was kind of like raising me too,
Yeah.
And I think I can like thank for him a lot, like the way I play nowadays. Like, yeah, he put me like go through a lot and a lot of pressure, but I think it pays off now.
And what's his name?
Timo Himberg. And he was also our national team coach for a while.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Full circle. That's so cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck this season. I know you got your recovery shoes on here, and you got a big game tomorrow.
Ready for tomorrow.
Best of luck. We'll be cheering for you.
Thank you.
And again, that segment was presented by Bravado Designs, the official bra partner of the PWHL, offering an understated, uncomplicated collection of intimate apparel that makes you feel beautiful, uplifted, and confident underneath it all.
And the way I say it is Bravado, supporting the ladies and supporting our ladies.
We have to pitch that to them. I feel like it
I
is.
hope they're listening because I think it's a hit.
Our extended segment for the week. We're back 2 episodes. We were lonely last week, only the one Tuesday episode. So Tuesday and Friday again this week. You can send us any questions you have, jocksandjills@gmail.com, or reach out on social media, Jocks and Jills on X, on Instagram, on Spotify, Apple, wherever you want to find us. Did I say TikTok? Because it's there as well. So we got a couple good questions this week. One is about the rules. This is Skates88 on IG. They want to know if it would be possible to clarify the no escape rule and if it's from when the ref's hand goes up or when the whistle blows. It looked like Toronto was trying to cheat it a bit last night. I don't know what game that was, so can't pull up the tape to see if they were trying to cheat it, but I wasn't sure and thought I would ask.
It's from when the whistle blows. So if, let's be honest, if the ref puts their hands up and no one can change on a delayed call, that'd be insanity.
It'd be chaos.
Yeah. So to me, if I'm out there and the ref throws their hand up, I'm like, if I'm close to the bench, I'm getting off to get fresh legs out there. Right. Or if you know it was,
or if you're a forward and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to play this. I have to get the hell off.
Right. Or if teams have things in place where it's just like, but again, sometimes it happens so fast you don't have time to
exactly.
think.
So would that be would you try to do that? Would you try to have a plan? Like, do you think teams are talking about, like, if you see a hand go up and you know you're not that gal, try to get off?
So here's my thing. If there is a penalty in the offensive zone and they're rushing back into your zone, I would automatically just tell a player, if you've been out there for a long time or you're not a designated killer, get off the ice.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if it's a defender that gets the call. So come off so we can throw an extra defender on, right? Because you can have 3D out there. It doesn't matter. If one's going in the box, sweet. Now you got 2 on the ice. But again, this game happens so fast. This is fast, right? And when there is a call against you and it's a delayed call, what are you trying to do? Trying to touch the puck, right? So there's
only so many things your brain can
parts.
Process at once.
A lot of moving parts. But the rule is it's when the whistle blows. No one's allowed to change.
Cool.
On the defending team.
Thanks, Skates88.
Skates88.
For the question. This one is from Harper Dean. Hi, guys. I'm so glad you have an email. I don't have socials, but really wanted to connect. Yes, you can send us emails. jocksandjills@gmail.com. Will you two be at the Seattle game? I'd love to see you guys live, like how you were in Minnesota. She also included a picture of the hoodie she made for the Seattle game.
Okay.
Oh,
homemade?
You're an artiste, Harper.
Arts and crafts.
You are an artiste, and we have amazing news. We will be at the Seattle game.
Yep.
And we're pumped about it.
We're coming for you, Seattle. If anybody's from Seattle and you've got some good eateries that we should be visiting or indulging in, do share.
Yeah.
We would love to know all of them.
It sounds like we're going to be on the road quite a bit in January from Seattle, maybe a little more West Coast action, depending on what happens there. Maybe some East Coast action. I think we'll be in Montreal at some point in January.
Yeah.
Might even see us in Quebec City. So
oh boy.
We'll see what happens. But yes, we will be in Seattle. There will be a live podcast. We will let you know details as soon as we have them about that Seattle game, but we're really excited about it.
Yep.
Thank you guys for listening this week. We're excited for all of the games. Tonight, Ottawa, Boston. Tomorrow night, Toronto, New York. Thursday night, Ottawa, Minnesota. And we will talk to you all on Friday.